Okay, this is the Conscendo Scout. I think that's the way you pronounce it. I'm not really sure, but this is some old parts I had, and been wanting to do another airplane. And first I found these drone motors that were older, but they still were really good, and I had ESCs to match. So I looked on the wall, and I had this old fuselage. This is from a Conscendo Evolution, I think it was called. It was a glider type powered plane that you threw. And I got this, and it had been busted in half, and I glued it all back together. And this had been a couple years ago, and I quit really playing with this one because it was so small you couldn't get anything in it. So I had to modify it in order to get the Speedybee in here, and I'll show you that. But then I tried it with this old Aeroscout wing I had, and it seemed to fit well. And I put it all together, and I flew it last week, and it flew really well. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take it apart, which is really just taking the wing off here, and I'm going to take the stickers off and paint it and make it look a lot nicer. I wanted to fly it first so I wasn't wasting my time, paint it all up and nice so it would crash, but it didn't crash. It actually flew pretty good. It's in the last video if you want to see how well it flew. But what I'm going to do right now is I'm going to take the wing off, but we'll start with the outside and what I got and how I did that first. All right, so the first thing we'll go over is the FPV system. The first person view, this is an analog FPV system. I want to go digital, but now there's 4 systems. I think it's 4. They're all kind of proprietary. Walk Snail is what I would go with if I had the cash to convert everything. But I also saw a video yesterday from Bot Grinder, and he was talking about open source, like ELRS type of HD system that I've seen some stuff, but I haven't really got into, and I might hold out for that. Because when I switched over to ELRS, it was a lot easier just taking my old Spectrum receivers out, selling them on eBay, and then buying new ELRS receivers. But anyways, we still got an analog system. This is a Race Ranger. It's a European version, so it puts out 1.8 watts. And I got this stuff cranked up. I don't fly very far, but it's kind of made for distance. But if you don't fly far, it still gives a really good picture. I get a really clear picture all the time. That's that, and that's just put on here with drone parts, just spacers and nylon screws, and then the antenna. I'm going to take that off, and there's some stuff under here that'll be in the other video of me fixing that. And the camera I have now that's a Cadex Ratel Pro, their newest analog camera, and it's got about the best picture I've seen so far in analog. Analog's actually gotten better. That's another thing about digital, is it seems that you have to have the camera close to the VTX, or it don't work. They seem to get a lot hotter. This one gets hot too. That's why it's out there. It's got a nice big heat sink, and being outside it cools it off fine. I've never had a problem with that one overheating. And then there's the battery. Okay, and this fits in there like perfectly, 2200 4S. And that was one of the things when I was thinking about building this, I told myself, if this battery fits in there, I'll use it. But if you notice, the battery leads down there are on the bottom. So I kind of have to put it in like this and squeeze it in there. But that just fits with the 4S battery in there. The next thing to do is to take the wing off. And the way I put the wing on is this is Aeroscout bolts here for this. And I just went through and put in a zip tie to hold this on. We're going to cut the zip tie and take the wing off. Alright, so I undid the wing. And I'll show you how it's hooked up before I take it off. So we have the two ESCs and the two ailerons hooked up there. And if you see the two long wires, that is connected to the ESCs up there. That's where the ESC is getting power. So let me disconnect that. Alright, so I took the wing off. And there you can see inside. I put in the flight controller. That's a Speedybee F405 Wing Mini. And it fits right in there. Up front here was where the other wing mounted on, and I took that out. It was a piece just like that. I took that out so I get the Speedybee in here. And if you look, I don't know if you can see, but the old wing came down to here. I glued in pieces of foam here and a piece of dollar store foam to raise it up to make the wing a high wing instead of kind of in the middle. So putting that up like that is what allowed me to get the bigger flight controller and everything in there. And you can see that fits in quite nice. We just got the wire going back to the VTX, and these are the wires that go to the ESCs. And you can see I put some balsa wood across here just to keep all the wires from getting down into the servos. This is the elevator servo, and just to be safe I put in a Metal Gear heavy duty servo in there. And Inav's nice because this is running Inav 7. It's nice because I was able to set the throws on this a little further than what the old Conscendo Evolution had. That's one of the reasons I didn't like that plane. It had some small throws. But anyways, that servo is a metal geared heavy duty one. The rudder servo is just the same as it was. I think that's the stock servo. But that is the inside and how I got the wing. So now it's a high wing instead of a, I guess, a mid wing, which is what you'd call it. And the Speedybee is if you're running FPV, you're really like doing yourself a disservice if you don't have Inav and that in your OSD. If you're flying like, you know, at the club with your buddies, line of sight, you probably don't need all this stuff. But if you're flying FPV, you really should get on Inav. Next thing we got here, this is just the wire that goes up front there into the nose here. I have a GPS and a compass in the nose there. I need to tack this wire up better, but that's what that is. And when for using Inav or a Speedybee like this, what you need is a GPS, this flight controller, and under here I'll show you is the receiver. But that's what you need. It's about the same price anymore. This flight controller was like $40, GPS is $20, and the receiver is like $12. So for about the same price, you get yourself a Spectrum receiver. You can get all this and have a lot more features. Now we get to the underneath here. And my little landing gear here are basically just put on here so it has something to land. They're just, I think, the landing gear off of a Cub, a Sport Cub, and the wheels off of a Habu. But really they're just so I don't have to hand toss the plane. I usually go out to the school by myself and I don't have somebody there to toss it. And I like to sit down when I fly FPV so I don't fall over. But like I said, these are just kind of so it don't have to be hand launched in the back here. I don't even have a wheel. I just got a stick, and that keeps the rudder up off the ground is really all it does. Last thing in the fuselage here is under here. Here, let me take that off. I have this taped on, and this is, if it'll stay for us. So this is a receiver, and that's an ELS 2.4 megahertz. Just a basic receiver with the antenna. Here's where the wing goes on. You can see how I just zip tied it up there so it won't move. And use the wood for reinforcement. Under here is the USB connection for the flight controller, so you can load Inav on it. And this also has Bluetooth and Wi-Fi. And one of the things I'm going to do to set this up is make it so I can change all the settings on Bluetooth on my phone. There's an app, and you don't even have to connect it to a computer anymore. You can basically set it all up through your phone. You're at the field, you need to set it up, you need to change a setting. It's really easy to do with your phone. But that's the underneath. Last thing I'm going to show you is the wing. Alright, last thing here is the twin motor wing, the way I built it. It's kind of easy to see. We got old drone motors 2204 here. Run the wires down. I cut a channel down to here, and that's just covered with dollar store foam board. To the ESC. The ESC is conformal coated, and you can't see it, but underneath, down in here, is a capacitor, so it don't mess with the OSD. But conformal coated for moisture. And I think I'm going to put just a little piece of foam over here to protect the positive and the negative wires, but they just come out. Both of them connect right here, and they plug into the flight controller. And you got the aileron servo and the ESC throttle control, left and right. Now with Inav, I could put differential thrust on here, but these motors are pretty close to each other, and they won't give you much of a variance in direction, and this plane doesn't seem to need it. But that's the wing. I glued the Aeroscout wing together, and I put this on. It looks kind of funky, but it lines up. This stuff here don't line up, but this lines up. Now these are made from old F-16 fuel drop tanks. This is what my mounts for my motors are. And you can see I even left this on because I was going to make some sort of different landing gear. I don't know. I might make another one of these with new parts so it looks better, because this is all old stuff I had. But anyways, these were like $4 for a pair. Really cheap off eBay. What else? That's about it with it. What I'm going to do, and it's going to be the next video, I took it apart, and over this week I am going to take off the stickers, fix a lot of these dents. If you can see how dented up this is. We got a little hanger rash here, rash from hitting the ground one time. But I'm going to fix all that and make it look a little bit better and paint it. But that'll be the next video, so please like and subscribe if you want to see more of the Conscendo Scout. We're going to do speed trials and all kinds of stuff once we get this put together and made a little bit more pretty. So thanks for watching.